Please mute all participants. Thank you, and we are now recording. Hello, fellow Rotarians. My name is Reed Miller, and I am your president of the Rotary Club of Portland. Welcome to our weekly membership meeting. I will now ask that you all join me in reciting the four-way test. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Again, that is the Rotary four-way test. At this time, I ask any Rotarians who have invited a guest to please raise your hand so that you can introduce your guest to the club. If you are a visiting Rotarian who came on your own, please raise your hand and introduce yourself, or let us know you're here in the chat box. And Carol, do we have any guests with us today?
We do, and we're going to do this a tiny bit different than we usually do. I know that there are some guests on here that have joined, maybe some who are military veterans. If so, why don't you unmute yourself and introduce yourself? Or if you raise your hand, I'll call on you or put it in the chat box, but I don't see any so far, and I'm pretty sure we have some guests.
There's one. Go right ahead, Marv.
Hi, Marv Fourier. I'm in the same veterans group that Angel Pilato is, and she invited us to listen into your presentation, which sounds like it's going to be pretty interesting. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Marv. Anybody else? You raise your hand here, speak up. Oh, Van.
Hi, everyone. My name is Van, and I know Angel and Jay Lee from a veteran and allies group we belong to called Angels 14. So I'm here to listen to Jay's story and support this group. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Wesley?
Yes, Navy veteran.
Nice to have you here. Thank you for your service, all of you. Anybody else? Any other visitors?
Yeah, this is Chaplain Terry Schrick. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm a friend of Angel's, and she invited me to listen in. I'm a military first responder pastor at Manor House Former City Bible, and a retired Army chaplain, 24 years.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Terry. Okay, Reed, I'm going to turn it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Carol. Appreciate that. And thank you to all of our guests for being here today. And more importantly, thank you to all of our veterans who have served for our country. Happy Veterans Day. We missed that opportunity, but thank you so much. And we appreciate everything that you've done for us. Today is November 9th, and wow, what a world we are living in these days. We've got places like Iceland and Scandinavia that have some of the highest vaccination rates in the world, and their infection rates are going through the roof. Restrictions and mandates are seemingly having very mixed results. Places like Florida that have been wide open for with essentially no restrictions have seen their infection rates plummet to the floor. There continues to be new variations and various officials having differing recommendations. Our leadership team, your Rotary Club of Portland, continues to hear from our members that you want to bring back the old Rotary Club, the Rotary Club that we all signed up for, that meets in person. While member safety and comfort continues to be our top priority, we recognize meeting virtually is not sustainable and not what our members want. Maria and Skylar recently got back from our large club conference, and of the 50 large clubs around the nation, there's only one that is still not meeting in person.
That's us.
Here we are. You guessed it. I don't mind being conservative, but I think that we've hit an inflection point. It's time to make some difficult decisions, and our leadership team recently met and all agreed that we need to make something happen. For the sake of transparency, our goal is to be back meeting in person by the start of the new year. We're not trying to rush anything. Safety and comfort is still of the utmost concern. We want to make sure everybody feels safe about what we're doing, but we can't wait around forever, and we recognize that people want to be back in person, and that's where we're at right now. With that said, there's still a lot of details to work out. We learned a lot from the last time that we met in person at the Sentinel in the library room. and we're currently looking at all of our options. Just know that this is our first priority, and we're going to figure out the best way to make it happen. We understand that not all members will be comfortable meeting in person. We can't cater to the minority, but we can do everything in our power. When we move to in-person meetings, we will have a live stream available, but understand that it's going to be limited. It's not feasible to have a fully hybrid meeting so that guests who attend virtually have the same ability to see presentations and ask questions. Unfortunately, that portion will be limited to those who choose to meet virtually. That's the unfortunate reality. I just want to be sure that we're communicating clearly with our members, keeping you all up to date with our plans for the future. Getting back to in-person meetings is the first thing in our agenda at every meeting, and we're going to make it happen as quickly and as safely as possible. I want to express my appreciation for all of your patience and understanding as we navigate through these waters. I'll continue to keep you posted as we get closer to next year. And with that important update out of the way, let's move on to our program today. With the start of a new month comes the chance to recognize all of our Rotarians who joined the Rotary Club of Portland in the month of November. Skylar, could you please show us our Rotary anniversaries for the month of November? All right. Tom Kelly, Brian Rosenthal, well done. Thank you, Skylar. And now, typically this would be coming from Maria Shell running our trust drive, but I'm going to give you guys a quick update and remind everybody that our trust drive is underway. She's not with us today, so I'm going to make the update and just remind you all that our trust drive is rocking and rolling. This is our one ask for the year. This is how we raise all of the money for all of our different committees and various activities that we fund throughout the year. And I remind you all that when you signed up to be a Rotarian, whether that was last month, years ago, 40 years ago, you made a pledge that you would make a donation every year to our Rotary Club and to Rotary International. It doesn't need to be significant, but when you signed up, that was the pledge that you were making. That was the application that you filled out. That was the box that you checked. We all have a duty to make here. Our duty to our club is to make that donation. And I know that it's going to be different for all people, but I want you all to really think about that and understand what you committed to this club and make sure that you're continuing to follow through on that pledge. You will hear much more from Maria in the coming months on that subject. I will let her take it from there, but just wanted to remind you where we're at in this process, and we have begun that, and that will run through, I believe, the end of January. All right. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Rotarian Dan Bramsky of our Homelessness Solutions Committee for an update on the work that the committee is doing in our community. Please welcome Dan Bramsky.
Thank you, President Reed. Good afternoon, all. I'm Dan Bramsky. I'm the chair this year of the Homelessness Solutions Committee. And I think we did this update about a year ago this week. And in some ways, it's very much the same. Like so many other activities and committees within Rotary and other organizations in our world, the pandemic over the last year and a half has really changed and limited what we've done and has forced us to evolve in a way. So I'm very happy to report that even though activities have changed, the Homelessness Solutions Committee has been able to continue to be active. We've, of course, moved our meetings to virtual formats. If you'd ever like to join us, we always meet on the first Tuesday of the month at 1:30 p.m. So 15 minutes after we get out of this luncheon normally. After I talk, I'll put my email address in the chat box if you want to get on our invite list going forward. So what have we done in the past year? We've been able to continue to connect and support different organizations impacting homelessness. I'm just going to read off a few of them. The Blanchet House, Easter Seals, Oregon, Lift, Urban Pantry, Portland, Stone Soup, Portland, Community of Hope, the Salvation Army, NAYA, Bradley Angle, the Bybee Lakes Hope Center, the Cascade AIDS Project. And those are the ones that we helped in the last year. And so we've continued to form relationships with these and other organizations to check in, see what's going on, how the landscape has changed, especially in light of the pandemic. And then when appropriate, we've also gotten out into the community to assist these different organizations. For example, in September, we went and helped serve food at the Blanchet House. As restrictions continue to lift, of course, we're monitoring this, week and month by month. We want to get back out and start volunteering with these organizations as well as other organizations. Throughout the last couple of years, we've found that there are probably 200 plus organizations in the Portland area that are seeking to help address homelessness. And so we want to get out and connect with more of them. And of course, if you're ever interested in getting involved with the committee, let me or another committee member know. So I'm introducing, of course, today what the HSC does for those of you who might not be familiar. But in the preceding weeks this month, we're going to have representatives from our committee sharing and introducing us to different organizations that we've helped and partnered with in the last year. So look forward to those presentations for the remaining 3 weeks of this month. Thank you, President Reed. I'll hand it back over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate that update, and thank you for everything that you all are doing and the service that you're putting in for the Homeless Solutions Committee. And at this time, I want to remind you all of DACDB. We've had some directory changes and some updates, and just want to bring you all in the loop. I want to remind you all that DACDB is our database that houses all of our member information. Believe it or not, this database does not update itself. It depends on our members being proactive and keeping our information up to date. I recently went through a job change, as many of you know, and which meant it was up to me to go into my account, update my job title, and more importantly, update my contact information. This is the home of all of our contact information. We no longer have our spiral ringed directories that went out every year. Those got cut due to budgeting and the labor, just the lift that it took to get those produced. We didn't have the manpower any longer, so we're no longer producing those directories, and our directory lives online in DACDB. It's a great place to find our club directory. It's got everybody's information in there. And when we do get back to meeting in person, we do recall that many of you do like to have a piece of paper to look things up. We're going to print out the directory from DACDB and have paper copies available. This will not be anything fancy. This will be an 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper stapled together so that you have that directory if that's what you prefer. We're happy to provide that to you. But the point of this update is reminding you all that that information lives in this database online, and it's up to each of you to update your information as anything changes. So please be sure to log in there and utilize that. If you're not familiar with DACDB, please don't be intimidated by it. It's fairly user-friendly. And I will tell you that we are looking into additional resources there and additional trainings. We will be posting some of that shortly here. So be on the lookout for upcoming trainings for DACDB so that we make sure all of you are able to utilize that feature. All right, I would now like to welcome Rotarian Carol Salter, who will be presenting this week's reflection. Welcome, Carol.
Thank you, Reed. I also do want to acknowledge Michelle is here as a visitor. Michelle, did you want to just introduce yourself? She might be on mute. Anyway, I think that she's probably one of the friends that came in. And also Britton is here for the third time. So Britton, next time you can just join, be one of our Rotary members. So I'm giving the reflection this week. What I decided to do, since I am on the homeless committee and I am married to a veteran, and Veterans Day is coming up on Thursday, that my reflection, what I'm going to do, and this isn't meant to be an advertisement for Easter sales, but I want you to remember that anybody that you see that's homeless on the street, you don't know their backstory, and they are people too. So this is a story from Adam, who we served in Easter seals. He says, I haven't had a mom or dad for most of my life. I went into the Marine Corps right after graduating early from high school. I was sent to Iraq and was in the Battle of Fallujah. I still wonder if I'm still human from what I experienced there. When I came back to the United States, I had nowhere to go. Paying for a motel was too much. I hid behind stores during the day and walked the streets of Salem at night for years. I had jobs, but I lost them because I wasn't sleeping enough. It was hell on earth. You don't wish living on the streets on anyone. People treated me like dirt. They only saw me as homeless, not as human. I grew hopeless, but then I learned that I had a son. I wanted to be there for him. I wanted him to have a dad. So I reached out to Easter Seals, Oregon to get help getting a place to live. I tried to do everything myself, but it didn't work. They didn't judge me for 1 second. Instead, they dove into helping me. First, they got me into a hotel, and within a few weeks, they got me into my own apartment. They connected me to Honoring Heroes, another organization that gave me all the furniture I needed. I don't know what I would have done. Now my son comes to live with me every weekend. He's 9. To be able to see his face and hear him call me dad, I realize that he really wants me to be there for him. And you made me realize that life is worth living. Thank you. Everything is possible when you find people who believe in you. So remember that when you're seeing people on the street, you don't know their backstory, and they are people too, and they want all the same privileges that we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. I appreciate that reflection. I think that was a very powerful story, and your words of wisdom. I mean, they're people too, and we don't know what their backstory is, and let's not put them into one bucket and determine that that's who they are. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Carol. And if any of you are interested in giving a reflection in the future, you can reach out to Susan, who's in charge of scheduling our reflections. Her email is 2navycaptains@gmail.com. And Skylar, would you please drop that into our chat for any of our members that are interested in a reflection? All right, it is time for our breakout room now. We were very heavy on the updates this afternoon, whatever time it is. So I'm going to skip over breakout rooms this week. We don't really have time for that. We've got 2 minutes on our agenda for breakout rooms. I think we will all live without them for this week. I want to respect our speaker today. I'm very excited about our program, and it should be very thought-provoking. I hope we have a lot of questions at the end, but I want to be respectful of Jay's time and give him the time that he is looking for here. So I will hand it that direction, and we'll skip over the breakout room, and I will hand it to our chair of the day. Please welcome Rotarian veteran Angel Pilato.
I'm off mute. That's the big word for the year. Are you off mute? Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. I really am very happy to be able to be the chair of the day. And I'm going to say November 11th is going to be Veterans Day. And it's an opportunity for us to acknowledge all of the veterans who served and all of the veterans who are still serving. I know we're all getting a little weary of Zooming, okay? But the benefits of Zoom, one of the benefits of Zoom, in addition to be able to Zoom in your slippers, okay, is that we're able to get talented speakers from any geographical location and have them come to us and share their expertise. And today is one of those opportunities. We're privileged to have Jay Lee here as our speaker. He's Zooming in from Virginia Beach. Jay Lee spent 13 years in the Navy as an E-7 Chief Petty Officer with the job title of, and I have to get this right, Master Explosive Ordnance Disposal Technician, okay? He served 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan where he dismantled IEDs, improvised explosive devices, for the Navy SEALs, the Army Rangers, the Green Berets, and during hundreds of combat missions. His team was tasked with to protect the force in combat and also to protect our shores and at home and overseas. Every day, Jay served with valor and courage. His expertise and decisiveness in making timely and critical decisions saved numerous lives, including his own. This is a rare opportunity for us to get a glimpse of what went on during our longest of wars. After 9/11, Jay was motivated to join the military, and to do what he could to protect our nation. He felt an obligation to repay this country for what had been given to his father, a Vietnamese refugee, and to help because he came in to be part of this country, free country, and he wanted to keep it that way. After the Navy, Jay shifted from dismantling bombs in combat to dismantling stress in people's lives. He established his company Golden Compass. It's a coaching practice, and he specializes in leadership and promoting leadership and communication, and he especially likes helping people get freedom around their personal finances. With his highly decisive leadership expertise and excellent communication skills, he brings calm, friendly demeanor to the people and organization he interacts with, and he is committed to assisting them to live a life on purpose, not just a paycheck, and looking for bottom line results. He's a graduate from Norwich University, a certified DISC consultant, a John Maxwell team certified trainer, a certified trainer, speaker, and coach, and a member of the International Coaching Federation. He lives in Virginia Beach with his wife and 2 very young children. And he believes that whether or not you're spending time with family, hiking, camping, or skydiving, that time is the most precious commodity and strives to maximize every second in order to live a life on purpose. Please give Jay a warm Rotary welcome. Jay?
Thank you very much, Angel, for that very, very nice and thoughtful introduction. I'm very humbled to be here. Thank you to all of you club members and Reed for having me here today as a guest. It is my absolute honor to be here with the Rotary Club of Portland. And would also like to thank Carol. That was a beautiful reflection. And that really struck a nerve with me. And thank you for that. But yes, again, thank you all for signing on today. Again, I'm Jay Lee, and I'm immensely grateful for the opportunity to serve your club today. Again, time is our most precious commodity, as Angel just pointed out. It's a very, very important philosophy of mine. And I appreciate the time that you are all sharing with me to hear my story. It means a lot. And special thanks to Angel. You put a lot of stock, faith, and time into me over the past few months, and I very much appreciate your support. So without further ado, let me get my screen share on here. Please bear with me 1 second. All right. You gotta love this technology. Here we go. All right. Well, I still have screen sharing permissions. I do. I'm sorry. Thank you for bearing with me. Again, technology. Awesome. Here we go. All right. How do we look? Can everyone see that? Great. Thank you. All right. So again, I'm Jay Lee, and this is my little talk on how dismantling improvised explosive devices changed my life. So please, without further ado, let's continue the conversations with one of my favorite sentiments from an author of mine who's also a favorite sentiment from a favorite author of mine, Stephen R. Covey. Begin with the end in mind. And this picture right here, this was the last jump of my active duty career. I took this photograph. Well, I was making the jump. A buddy of mine took the photograph, but it was my very last jump of my active duty career. And it was probably 1 week prior to my actual separation date. So there's a lot of emotions going on. And I just kind of sat down and I thought about what that actual flag meant to me. I was honored to have the privilege of jumping the flag that has been with me on 5 deployments to 3 continents and 7 countries. She has been to safe houses, has flown over camps, forward operating bases, and remote sites no one will ever have known existed. She's been carried into combat. She's almost been blown up and shot down. She has been terrified. She often thought the only way home was by adorning the casket of a man that took her everywhere he went. She has been hoisted as a beacon of light in some of the darkest places on earth, and she valiantly served as a reminder of hope and freedom, and has undoubtedly saved my life more than I care to know. So, as a tribute to all the veterans here today and Veterans Day, please join me in sharing a moment of silence, remembering what our flag stands for, taking special care to give thanks to the men and women who first stood up to tyranny in 1776, and those who have answered the call ever since. Thank you. All right. So I can't really see a lot of you, so I'm gonna have to have Angel or Reed or someone give me some feedback here. Who has ever been, and just got to raise your hand or nod or do something, who has ever been struck by a realization that it literally brings you to your knees, right? Nothing physically touches you at all. Just the power of that realization in the fabric of your DNA reduces you to your knees. I see some hand, I see the few hands that I got, I see some going up. So awesome. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You felt that immense power. John Maxwell, one of the foremost leadership experts in the world, has said, you cannot make a difference or change your world in a positive way unless you build everything you do on good values. Now, I know in present company, making a difference in a positive way resonates with all of us here today. However, how can we know for certain our values are truly aligned with what our purpose is? You may find on the day that you make that profound realization or have made that profound realization, your values become crystal clear. Okay. For example, I remember how I felt one day. We're going to rewind some time. I was 11 years old at school and really just trying to figure things out as 11-year-olds do. An announcement came over the PA system instructing the entire school. And this was, I was 11 years old. So this was an elementary school and junior high. Well, no, it was like elementary school and middle school. So K through sixth grade, everyone to enact the bomb threat protocols. And I was kind of thinking like, oh, of course, right? This is another drill. And I was kind of annoyed as 11-year-olds typically are at everything. But my class, when we gathered at our prescribed location, I remember thinking about how odd it was that I could hear the TV on in the classroom that we were supposed to be in. That never happened on any of the drills. It's like, come on, count, get in here, count, and we'll go back to class after everyone's accounted for. But what I saw on the TV, I saw it, and I was instantly frozen to my spot. Shock, helplessness, and anger were just a few of the many emotions going through my head, shooting through my soul. I couldn't breathe. What I saw on the screen, what I'm sure we all witnessed, was a horrific scene. Thick black smoke was billowing out of the North Tower. Complete chaos blanketed the streets of Manhattan. First responders were doing everything they could possibly do. Extraordinary citizens were doing anything they could possibly, feasibly do for each other. Hopeless people, wanting to end things on their own terms, were falling from the sky. I remember praying in that deafening silence, please, God, wake me up from this nightmare. Please. And before I could finish my thought, a second plane tore through the South Tower. At that moment, I had one thought. This can't be happening. I've never felt such profound sorrow in my heart so suddenly. Tears began to well up in my eyes. And here, let's make this more conversational. I'm gonna stop. I'm going to stop screen sharing here for a second because I want to actually get talking to you guys. How I do that though is I don't know. I don't see that button. Oh, it's up here. Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry. I like it to be a little bit more conversational. We'll go back to that. But that happened. I never felt such profound sorrow in my heart so suddenly. Tears began to well up in my eyes as I stood there in disbelief. How can this be happening, right? I mean, I'm sure everyone on this call knows exactly where they were in that very exact same moment, no matter where we were in the country. And it's just, this can't be happening. And then at 9:59 a.m. on September 11th, 2021, 20 years ago, After burning for an hour, the South Tower collapsed. A half hour later, the North followed suit. Thousands of lives were snuffed out in an instant, while millions of us could do nothing but watch. Right? And that has never sat right with me, and I know it didn't sit right with a lot of you here today. So we'll go back to our slide here, our slide deck. This is an overview of Ground Zero right there. We were watching from around the country. Some of us were there. Some of us were old enough to contribute. Some of us, like myself, were just young and just watching in disbelief. In those frozen moments of horror, I knew I had to do something. I was being called to do something, but I didn't know what until it was as if God himself was reaching down, right? Placed his hand on my heart and said, Jay, it is time you recognize what I put you on this earth to do. And it was in that moment, and yes, I fell to my knees, I was reduced to my knees, when I realized what I value most in this world. I value protecting those who otherwise can't defend themselves, and more so to serve and lead others with purpose and intentionality. My path then led me to Navy EOD. And here we go. I have a little bit of a quiz. Okay. So again, just bear with me. And oh, I don't want to leave the meeting. Nope. Sorry, bear with me again. All right. So a little quiz, right? Who on this call, right, has ever heard of Navy EOD, right? Or EOD in general? There's a couple. There's probably a select few. And I won't hold that against you guys that aren't raising your hands. It's okay. I get this a lot. But that is it's the Navy's best kept secret. That's what I always say. It's the Navy's best kept secret. And to continue the test, or not the test, but the quiz. All right, let's see who in here has ever heard of Navy SEALs, right? I'm pretty sure every hand is going to go up. Yep. What about Green Berets? Yep, you've heard of them. And Army Rangers, you've heard of them. Some of you might be some, I don't know what you guys were in the past, but hey, I love all you guys and everything like that. We're one big family. But yeah, I always like to do a canvassing poll to see how many people actually know what EOD is. And it is always it's a stark contrast. Okay. Let me resume. Sorry. Thank you for entertaining my poll. I appreciate it.
Wait, so what is the EOD? For those of us that don't know.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Wait, can you guys see the screen? The slides again? All right. All right. So Navy EOD is, let me actually go to the right slide here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Navy EOD is Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal, or the Navy's Bomb Squad. It's an elite group. Very few have ever heard of, right? As we just all saw. And there are typically 1 to 2 Navy EOD technicians on every SEAL, Green Beret, and Ranger platoon worldwide. Fun fact. Outside of the mainstream special operations forces, there are sole Navy EOD platoons stationed throughout the globe right now, ensuring our carriers, our aircraft carriers, can safely conduct flight operations and are fostering freedom of movement for cargo ships in some of the most dangerous and high threat waterways today. Maintaining clear sea lanes is what Navy EOD is tasked for outside of that special operations role that we just talked about. And so with that being said, I believe everything happens for a reason. I followed a calling formed by my values. That path led me to Navy EOD, whose mission is the protection of personnel and property. The very thing I was unable to do on September 11th, 2001 is the primary objective of bomb technicians worldwide. And I had the honor of serving that mission for 13 years. And I know what it's like to serve for a purpose 100%. I know what that's like. I felt that calling. I know that. There's a lot of meaning behind this EOD badge. The shield represents the primary EOD mission, protection of personnel and property. The bomb is a copy of the World War II bomb disposal badge and represents the EOD objective, the unexploded bomb. It's 3 fins. As you can see right here, this is what I mean by fins. These 3 fins right here, 1, 2, 3. Those represent the 3 historic mission areas for bomb technicians, which are chemical and biological on one fin. Then you have nuclear and radiological on the second. And then the last is conventional ordnance. The lightning bolts symbolize the potential destructive power of the bomb and the courage and professionalism of EOD personnel in their endeavors to reduce hazards, as well as to render safe explosive ordnance. The wreath represents the achievements and laurels gained by minimizing accident potentials through ingenuity and devotion to duty of its members. It is proudly displayed in memory of the EOD personnel who have given their lives in the line of duty. It means a lot to me, this badge, and I've worn it. I've had the the pleasure of wearing it for 13 years, and there are 3 different levels of EOD. A lot of people don't know that either. I mean, a lot of people don't know about EOD in general, so why would they know the 3 levels of EOD? There are basic, senior, and master tech. So throughout one's career as an EOD technician, you start out as a basic technician. It's the same exact badge you're seeing here without the star on the top and without the star on the bomb. We call these people endearly, right? It's a term of endearment, slick bombs. They got nothing on them. They're brand new, they're fresh. That means they're trainable. They've made it through EOD school. They don't know how to disarm anything, but they are trainable. And then as they progress throughout their career, they become senior techs. They get that star on the center of the bomb. And then as they progress even further in their careers, they become master techs. They have the star on top of the bomb. So those 3 different levels of EOD. And throughout my career, I rose to the rank of Chief Master Explosive Ordnance Disposal, as Angel pointed out. I served 5 overseas tours to 3 continents and 7 countries, was certified as a high-risk naval instructor. I delivered counter-improvised explosive device, or IEDs, to Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and Green Berets during all phases of multifarious combat missions. I fulfilled direct support missions to the White House complex, providing critical expertise to protect one of our nation's most critical and treasured assets, and everyone that lives in the complex. I've been on countless missions supporting the U.S. Secret Service, another facet of EOD that a lot of people are unaware of, where the objective, largely unknown to the public, was find or function, where we find or function a device before anyone else does. And yes, the function aspect of that means to set off. So our mission as EOD techs is to find a device and or function it before anyone else does. As a high-risk naval instructor, I supervised and trained over 1,000 EOD operators, naval special warfare operators, aka Navy SEALs, and Army Special Forces, Green Berets, and Army Rangers, in air mobility tactics, techniques, and procedures. So that's jumping out of an airplane at pitch black conditions at 30,000 feet to an unknown drop zone that's unmarked at night. And that's what I did as a special operations instructor. So again, I know what it's like to live and serve for a purpose because I was living and serving for a purpose. I chose to enlist in the Navy, right, and become an explosive ordnance disposal technician due to the complexity of the job and the vast leadership opportunity and the likelihood of being deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan. Again, September 11th drove a lot of my values, and I wanted to go and do whatever I could. That was a very narrow understanding, however, of the EOD community before actually learning what it truly meant to serve as an EOD tech. As a brand new guy at the age of 21, so 10 years now had passed, I was put on my first team in direct support for the 75th Ranger Regiment in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. That's Afghanistan. During that first deployment, I learned that leadership is far more than being the boss, and giving orders. I learned that real leadership is about instilling confidence and trust in all who are depending on you. On over 34 direct action missions as a brand new guy, brand new EOD tech, my first deployment, I was a sole EOD tech in front of 25 Rangers who entrusted their lives to me. That was a true lesson in leadership. As a junior sailor and a junior EOD tech, I had to step up to the plate and lead these men into battle, ensure their safety during combat, and lead them back home. This lesson in leadership is one that I will never forget. It has resonated with me on 3 combat deployments with over 150 dismounted operations. The incredible opportunity to provide direct support to the 1st and 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, SEAL Team 8 in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, and other Tier 1 units in places in Africa to support the global war on terror has forever impressed upon me what the meaning of teamwork, leadership, and sacrifice truly means. So again, I was serving my purpose. I know what it's like and it feels good. I was living that and serving it right up until I was not. However, I unfortunately know what it's like to cast that purpose aside and focus on much less important and unfulfilling objectives, merely serving for a paycheck rather than serving for my purpose. Right? And, sorry. It was a tough road. And as you can imagine, what we just talked about, that was my purpose. Everything that, those thousands of lives that were just ripped to shreds, and those families that were torn apart and nonsensically torn apart. So yeah, as you can imagine, like any other technical job, right? This requires a lot of attention to detail and very laser focus, right? And under a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, I'm dealing with bombs. I do have, however, I'll caveat that with the parents in the room. I would honestly, I might rather take my chances with an IED because I understand how those work than an infant. There's nothing you can do to make that thing happy. I know circuitry, and I know if I cut this wire, not the blue one, if I cut this one, it'll be safe, right? I know that. And so sorry, I just wanted to, that's my dad joke for the day. I promise I will hold off on all further dad jokes. So yeah, I was trained, right? I was going on direct nighttime operations, right? To capture and kill enemies. I was doing the things. I was highly trained to do all these things. And with that being said, I mean, I was highly trained to face an invisible enemy, the IED. No one, that wasn't standing in a tree line shooting at us. That was concealed very well. And oftentimes, which we'll get into here in a second, didn't even know it was there. I was highly trained to take down enemies that were shooting at us. I was trained in the maneuvers. I was trained in the ways of how to integrate with a SEAL team, how to integrate with a Ranger team, how to integrate with the Army SF Special Forces. And I could operate seamlessly with each one of those groups. I was charged with disarming IEDs and blowing up hundreds of pounds of enemy weapons. I was highly trained, to face these enemies that were cunning, elusive, and hard to pin down. I was highly, highly trained in my professional life. However, I was not educated in how to identify these threats in my own wallet that had the potential to blow up in my face, and in fact did blow up in my face. When I wasn't training or deployed, I lived out in town. I took the expression carpe diem to the next level. And I did that, and it was a common expression. And it's, looking back on it, I don't want to justify it, but looking back on it, I know in my 30s, right, that is a very immature and short-sighted way to have a mindset. But we were doing that. We were living that way because we didn't know if we were going to make it back. And we wanted to live life to the fullest while we still had it. And that's exactly what we did. I had a big new truck, ate at all the best restaurants in town. I knew all the bartenders on a first name basis. We walked into a room, everyone cheered, we got shots immediately, and it was, rinse, repeat. And, it was, we like to live life to the fullest. Again, I took that expression carpe diem to the next level. And it wasn't, unfortunately, I didn't realize that I was nowhere close to being in control of any of my finances. I was very much in control of everything else in my life. Like I said, laser focus, IEDs, capture kill missions. We're doing the whole thing. However, my savings weren't going up. I wasn't investing in retirement. I was anxiously waiting for my paychecks to come in. I mean, I was I was waiting for the 1st and the 15th to hit so I see that money in my bank account. There was no plan, no momentum, no freedom. I had massive payments and credit card debt growing faster every month. Sure, I was among the 75% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And the scariest part of the whole thing is I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize how bad of a situation I was in. I was under the idiotic pretense that this is just what being an adult was. I didn't realize how much bandwidth my personal finance nightmare was taking up in my professional and personal lives. I didn't realize how this was negatively affecting every aspect of my life. And unfortunately, I didn't realize these things for quite some time, even when I almost got my teammates killed in Afghanistan. And so that story is, let me take you back to Afghanistan around 2014 timeframe. I was with a SEAL team. We were doing a dismounted patrol, so on foot. And I don't know if anyone has seen The Hurt Locker, but that is a horrible rendition of Navy EOD. As you can imagine, I'm EOD and I can't watch that because it's just, I don't know who they consulted, if any EOD at all. However, that's a story for another time. This particular instance, we were on foot and we don't have the trucks and the robots and the bomb suits that you may have seen in movies and stuff like that. What me and my teammate had, there was 2 EOD techs. We had what we had on our bodies, and that's it. I had as much demo as I could carry, and I had as many tools as I could carry that could render safe an IED, an improvised explosive device. So we're walking around on foot outside. It's the middle of the day, and daytime is worse than nighttime because daytime, everyone is watching you. And my buddy who's up front of the patrol says, "Hey, hold on a second, guys." He passes it back. I think there's an IED up here. We're getting ready to cross a footbridge. And he stops. He looks at it. He's doing his thing. A lot of time has actually elapsed. He's like doing a lot of things because it's a high threat. Like we want to get blown up. So we're sitting there. Me and my other teammate are sitting there for about 40 minutes. And then I hear a detonation. The detonation happens about 30 meters behind me. And I look back and it was near our command and control element. Thankfully, this was set up very poorly by the people that wanted to take us out. And no one was hurt. It was set up physically just in a bad location. The explosives were degraded. It wasn't good. I went over there. I did a post-blast analysis. So I did all the forensics, got the explosives, got the container, figured out what was what, got the wires and some evidence to bring back. At that moment, I get called over by the Afghan local police to where I was just standing for 40 minutes with a buddy of mine. And where we were in direct line with our C2 element that was 30 meters behind us. What I saw next was this. This is what I looked over. I looked over and saw this setup. And when I looked over and saw that, it was so this was actually not in this orientation, right? Everything was in this bag right here. You know, this container, this is called a directional frag charge. This charge was in this bag. It looked like a piece of trash and it was in this hole and it was buried. Totally invisible again. And so as I'm looking at that, I was like, okay, he's like, there's an ID over here. I was like, yep, that looks suspicious. It was kind of laying on its side and it was pointing directly in the location where me and my friend were standing. And right behind us was our C2 element again. This essentially is and I'll give you a close-up view of what's going on here so you can fully appreciate the gravity of the situation here. So what that is, it's a directional frag charge, and it is like a claymore on steroids. It's about a paint can sized width, and they line it with these steel ball bearings, right? Look at these steel ball bearings. They're very nice, and they could put really cool things in the front of these IDs like that. This would rip through armor. An up armored vehicle because these steel ball bearings are coming out at 26,000 feet per second. That is very fast, and it would have went right through me and my buddy. It would have went right through our C2 element because they are definitely in proximity. So we would have taken out effectively 1/3 of our operational force if this went off. So I go over there, I see this, I render it safe, and I thought I was good. And you know, in theory, that would sound pretty cool. In the movies, that would look pretty cool. However, this is one of the worst moments of my life. I took the phone. It was a cell phone initiated ID. So what that means is someone calls this phone, it rings, this thing blows up. That cell phone had 4 missed calls on it. 4 times someone called this phone, and I was too distracted to even realize that this was even happening, that this was here. And I thought I was locked on. 4 times someone called this phone and it almost ended. Me, my buddy, and 1/3 of the rest of the force that I was with, my family. Those are my brothers. And we did everything together. And we almost just died together on that day. So I was no longer serving for my purpose. I wasn't even protecting those that I was charged to protect. And they were no longer, I mean, thankfully I had good enough rapport where they made the excuses for me. I didn't even have to. However, I did, and I own that. I should have saw that as an EOD. That's my job. However, so even this happened. I was so distracted. I was so worried about thinking of, hey, are my bills going to come? Is my pay going to be messed up since I'm on deployment now? Is my tax-free going to get turned on because I need that extra money to pay off my mortgage because I just paid my mortgage with this credit card, which I used that credit card to pay that one. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I needed this money to come in so I wasn't delinquent on any of my bills in my house and get foreclosed on while I was gone, or my vehicles get repossessed. So I was so distracted and didn't even realize it up until a buddy of mine sat me down and he went over a budget with me. This is a couple of years after this happened. 60 minutes. He gave me 60 minutes of his time. And remember, time is our most precious commodity. And my friend gave me 60 minutes of his to just write stuff down. That was the first time in my life I ever wrote down my finances, as in what I made. And I looked at what I was spending. And I looked at that and was struck by another realization that, yes, reduced me to my knees, that this is what is wrong. This is why all my relationships were blowing up all around me. I didn't have the mental space and energy for patience, grace, gratitude. I was too distracted. I almost got my teammates killed. And out of everything I raised my right hand to do, the very purpose I committed my life to, support and defend the Constitution of the United States, no longer existed. I was serving for a paycheck, not my purpose. So I decided in that moment, right? I paused and I was going to get honest with myself. And here, you guys don't need to look at this anymore. I got honest with myself and had a really good self-reflection. Came to grips with the reality. It was not okay. This was not okay. My actions were exceptionally short-sighted. And as a result, I was a slave to my own choices and behavior. And that changed my life. Just seeing that on a page changed my life. And thank God it did, because a change was essential if I was going to survive. A change was vital if I ever had a chance to win with money. So I decided right then and there, my behavior needed to change, period, end of story. It's no one else's fault but my own. I had a plan, I established stability, and I achieved security. And then what I then realized was common sense was not common practice, not by a long shot, because I was not an exception. I was the standard. So how did I go from dismantling IEDs, bombs in combat, to dismantling stress in people's lives? It was the journey that I went on. The very same journey that's what I take individuals and small teams now, right? Hopefully with less explosions, providing the same tools and methods that saved my life. By risking everything I stood for and deeply cared about, I realized that finances were the root cause of stress and anxiety for most people. They certainly were for me. And now I exist to eradicate these underlying financial problems and serve to help others win with money, build legacies, and live with true financial freedom. So I will close with this. You cannot make a difference or change your world in a positive way unless you build everything you do on good values. I challenge all of us here today to take a deep introspective look and ask the question, are you building everything you do on good values? Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. We probably only have time for one or maybe two questions. So if you want to raise your hand, I'll call on you. Raise your little.
Jay, could you?
Yeah, you want me to stop share?
You can keep that up for a moment, but yeah, so we can
put it up at the end.
Does anybody have a question or a comment? Thank you so much for sharing your story. It fits right in with our values.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Angel?
Something to Jay because he revealed the last time that he dismantled, and he told it on himself. but all the other hundreds and some 130, 150 times that you did it, and you did it with focus, you certainly ought to be acknowledged for that. And thank you for taking the risks that you did take. And thank you also for having the realization that you needed to do some changes in your life. And I want to ask, did you leave the Navy after that bomb incident with the phone went off 4 times and didn't explode? Did you leave after that, or did you still stay in?
I stayed on for another deployment and then some, a deployment and then a shore duty rotation where I became that instructor. I went to an instructor role.
Thank you again, Jay. We all appreciate your share with us today, and I'm going to give it back to Reed.
All right, thank you, Carol. Thank you, Angel. And Jay, thank you so much for everything you shared today. An incredibly powerful story. And I think I speak for everybody here with us today when we say thank you for everything that you did for all of us individually, but more importantly for our country as a whole. Thank you for your time serving. And to all of our veterans with us today, thank you so much for everything that you've done for our country and for all of us. I know that I speak for all of us when I say that we deeply appreciate that. And we wouldn't be living in the world that we're fortunate to live in without you all. So thank you so much for all of that. And Jay, the work that you're doing in finance, I can't say enough good things about that. I mean, I really appreciate the fact that you noticed an issue, you made a change in your life, and you made it your mission to help others with the same issues. Certainly a common problem. It's not just the military. I mean, it's our country as a whole. It's not something that's being taught in our schools. Personal finance is something that's fallen by the wayside, and it's not a priority. And I think that we're seeing it across the nation right now that people are struggling with that, and they don't know where to start or how to start or what getting things in order looks like. So you're doing good work out there, and I certainly appreciate that and stand behind that and support everything that you're doing there.
Thank you very much, Reed. I appreciate that. I'd be happy to connect with anyone here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And a big thank you to Carol for your reflection today. I noted that earlier. I thought that was really powerful, the story that you shared about homelessness and the fact that those are people too. They all have individual stories. They didn't all get there for the same reason. And we shouldn't assume that they're there for whatever reason we may be thinking. So thank you for keeping our members with an open mind and looking at things through that lens. Thanks again to Angel. Thank you for everything that you do for our club. Thank you for your service in the military. Thank you for bringing in our speaker today. I appreciate that. Again, thank you to all of our veterans. It can't be said enough. And Jay, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Time is the most precious commodity, and that is something that I have always treasured as well. So thank you for taking the time to put together today's presentation and be with us today and to share your story and to take questions from our members. I appreciate that very much. And lastly, I'd like to thank everybody behind the scenes that made our program run so smoothly today. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everybody that contributes to this production. And most importantly, thank you to all of our committee chairs and to our members for everything that you do for our club and in our community. As we close today's meeting, let's all remember why we're here. We serve to change lives. Let's continue to focus on the lives that we change and continue to step up and do the right thing. Thank you again for joining. This meeting is adjourned.